Hi, I'm Wanda Miglus, and I am a weaver and a weave designer primarily, but for the art is fashion, fashion is art program, I am showing my knitting and crochet skills, which I do as sort of an alternate creative outlet. And the piece that I had entered in the show, the flounce poncho, which you saw in some of the earlier images, is it's a very open net knitted piece, which I composed of various skeins of balls of yarn I had available to me. Here's a little representation of kind of the colors and textures of yarns that are out in the market, and they're fun to play with. One of the things that I really enjoy about the knitting and crochet versus weaving is that it is a very portable and immediate craft and activity. So I can sit on my couch and in just minutes have a sample produced by hand with knitting needles such as these. These are circular knitting needles. And I have a whole array of tools that I work with that literally can be accessed at the reach of my hand to my basket of tools and other accessories. So there is a great gratification in this sort of immediacy of the product, of producing a sample or swatch or an idea. And it's also an easy way to test out form structure, see how two yarns work together or they don't work together, and then you can rip it out and start all over again. So for me, the knitting and crochet is also a way of exploring ideas that I might be able to then translate to my weaving and other design formats, sculptural pieces, three-dimensional forms, how yarns or how elements are constructed and come together. This other component of the immediacy of knitting and crochet. And as I already mentioned, you know, the textures and the color work that is available in commercially purchased yarns, as well as then one can dye their own yarns using dyes, natural dyes or synthetic dyes. So it opens up a lot of opportunity for design. And this is something I enjoy doing on the side. It's finding its way into my other more professional work. And it's also giving me an opportunity to play with the human form, which thus far in my career, I haven't done that much work in. I did a lot of, most of my work in my woven work has to do with interior design, upholstered furniture, and prior to that, I also worked in product design and automotive interior design. So working with the human body as a form versus a space or a inanimate object, this is a new challenge. So it's been fun. The flouncy poncho kind of came about step by step. I took one ball of yarn, knit that, tried another design, sort of component of design, a little detail, knit another piece after that, try another color, knit another piece after that. And once I ran out of the yarn, that was it. The piece was completed. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed being part of this group show, and also just enjoying this craft that I'm learning a lot about.
Wanda, at this point, I have to share some of the pictures of the poncho, and I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Certainly.
Do you see the poncho on your screen?
Yes, I do.
So I've mentioned in the past that I love the name, the flouncy poncho. And here is the side view, the other side, and then a close-up to some of your knit and crochet stitches. Could you explain to me some of the different stitches and yarns that you have in this section?
Yes, so the main body of the poncho is a simple knit stitch. There's nothing fancy about it, just straight up knitting. And the entire poncho is knit in what's called in the round. So there are no seams, it just continues knitting around and around and around and around. And by using a simple knit, what makes the stitch appear to be more complex is that the yarn itself had a texture to it. And after we look at these photos, I do have a sample of the yarn of the texture. Then the black and pink area, that is called the Latvian braid. And the Latvian braid is a twining, sort of a twisting of two colors, one stitch at a time. So you go pink, black, pink, black, pink, black, and it twists in one direction, and then in the next row, it twists in the other direction, and you get this arrowhead design. Then the orange section, that is a technique where you loop an additional loop around the needle as you're knitting, and then once you return onto the next row, that loop drops and you create a hole. So you can have this open lace work by dropping a stitch, or you're not quite dropping it, but you're dropping a length of yarn that is still attached. But so you open up that space and create a hole. I wanted to, because of the nature of the main body of the yarn, I wanted to create an open lace so that you could see the yarn, so it wouldn't be too densely knit together, so it would lose the sort of ribbon quality of that yarn. The seam along the front, the spine there, that also is created by increasing stitches, so it starts widening out because you keep adding another stitch and another stitch to each subsequent row. And you do that by again, that the yarn over technique that creates the hole. It also is now adding another stitch to it. So it's simple, fairly sort of not very, I would say these are beginner stitches, or beginner intermediate stitches that then can be put together to make an item look much more complex than it really is once you get the hang of knitting.
I greatly appreciate that description of showing a way to have open stitches and really feature the yarn, the variations of the yarn. And what I see here as I'm looking at this main body of the poncho is a rhythm, a really neat kind of opening and closing and gathering of stitches that really create more variety. So it's almost as if it's more complicated than you're saying.
Right.
But the effect is just absolutely beautiful. And these different sort of furry textures that we're seeing here with some of these sections right there, and that black and pink area and the bottom part of the lower part of the flouncy poncho is just great use of different materials and very appreciated for the effect.
Thank you.
So do you think that you might continue making more wearable knit items?
Yes, definitely. And part of following kind of the instructions on how to do knitwear, although this was somewhat made up, but I generally followed instructions, sort of the traditional instructions. I'm also learning techniques, and it's by copying existing techniques, I'm learning how the body is formed and how knitwear is constructed, which in itself is just a wonderful technique. So I'm in the process currently. I've got 2 sweaters going. I've just cast on a pair of socks, my first time ever socks, which I never thought I would do, but I'm enjoying those. And I think I have about 5 other projects started, some of which will never see sort of the light of day, but others I will continue exploring. And as my skills improve and advance, I also am a better judge at what I want to do and what to complete and what to just let go and say, no, that's not worth my time. So yes, definite garment. And as a matter of fact, I'm interested even taking the pattern for the flouncy poncho and trying it in a different material and trying it perhaps in different colorways and seeing how that compares.
Yeah, I think this colorway is absolutely gorgeous and very flouncy.
It's very
But
fun.
I think that it has so many potential, iterations.
Yeah.
And my last question is more of a practical question, not as much fun design question, but sort of thinking about wearing this and taking care of it over time, because it really is an heirloom piece. When we talk about heirloom pieces, this is, a very lovely item that you want to keep for generations. This open knit, what would be the best way to care for this as we're cleaning it and taking care of it?
So cleaning it, so it is cotton, so it is easy to wash. It would be hand washed in a basin with cool to warm water and a mild soap, because it's not a animal fiber like wool is. There's a little bit more flexibility with the types of soaps, and I don't have to worry about hot water shocking the fibers. So I'm not with cottons and other type cellulosic or synthetic fibers. There isn't the worry of the garment shrinking or felting, as which is a concern when working with wool. So this would be hand washed and wrung out and then line dried or laid out to dry. And then kind of you can shake it out and it'll gain its form again. And then for cares or storage and care, I would probably store it folded and rolled in a drawer, as opposed to hung, because hanging would then stretch out the stitches too much in certain areas. So rolling it up, and I've even considered making a small carrying bag for it, so that because it is an open netted quality, so it might get hooked on things. So if it's carried kept in a bag, it'll have less chance of anything grabbing it. For wearing, yes, that is a risk that it might get caught on a button, it might get caught on some sharp item sticking out of a piece of furniture, but that's the risk of any garment. And because I am the maker, I can also go back and repair it if should there be a snag or a tag on the garment.
Well, we appreciate all of that care information so that we can take care of this item. We're looking forward to new items coming out and considering them to add to our own collection.
Great.
Thank you so much for this introduction, Wanda.
Thank you.